Now arrives the hour of action.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it.
For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury.
To subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws.
All experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
And we're going to take our country back from these people.
States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will take back our constitutional God-given rights. You're damn right, we're coming for our children. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. What do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our family.
Now arrives the hour of action.
States are profiting off the destruction of our family. What do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will hold them accountable. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. What do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will hold them accountable. What do we want? 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 States are profiting off the destruction of our family.
And we're going to take our country back from these people.
States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will take back our constitutional God-given rights. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. What do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will hold them accountable. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will hold them accountable. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will hold them accountable.
New computer. Million Parrot March. Live at 5. What's happening, everybody? My mic is getting worse and worse and worse. Oh, I need to press record. Oops. One problem I'm having is the CPU, obviously. I keep telling you guys that. And I can't do much without burying it, and then I have no idea how far over 100% I'm going, and then that happens with the MP4s like I was showing you yesterday. But today, if you looked at some of the live feeds, Christy did a live feed through Mommy Interrupted, and talking about Carlos, what went on with his case today, and I'm hoping to have a couple of guests call in, maybe Christy come on as well. Let's see, where is my... There we go. Oh, Christy's here already. So Christy's on the line with us. She can give us an update. If you don't know Carlos, so you pronounce his name correctly as Dr. Carlos. He, let me see here. There we go. Camera. Remove, oops, wrong button. Remove that camera. Hey, Christy.
Hey, yay, you finally got me on here.
Yeah.
My time is running out.
Oh, sorry about that. So, please go for it. Give us an update.
Okay, so can you, I'm hoping that the live feed from here, this will work, because I was trying to do my live feed a moment ago and it wasn't working. So,
no, you're fine. You're on.
Okay, so thanks for having me. Hello, everybody that's watching and that is concerned and wondering what's been going on. I've been in constant communication. Last night I had a phone call with Dr. Carlos as well as Gary Jacobs and actually also Michael Lazarin. So we had a decent phone call last night, so I had an idea what the strategy was for them to go into court today. But it sounds like it didn't fully go very well. The reality is, and because I'm doing it this way, I wonder, I need to be able to read some stuff, so that might make me go off of the video.
That's fine.
Let's see. Am I off the video, or can you see me?
Oh, I can see you right now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then that sounds great. So then I can actually read to you the information that I received earlier.
Okay.
So from Jamie Wagner. So, and I know she's going to be calling in. I'm just going to give you the update as I had it. So the first section of the day today, many of you know Dr. Carlos was in court today because of his the outrageous demands on him to pay this back child support, and
20 large.
He's being held. I'm sorry.
$20,000 is what they want.
No, way more than 20,000. They wanted more than. They wanted 50,000. Oh. Actually, they didn't even want 50,000. That was one of the offers made by one of the philanthropists that are assisting Carlos. But unfortunately, there were some demands that were placed on they were offering it, but with conditions. And so what that did, there's some interesting strategy that went down that may not have been beneficial to Carlos in the end. But anyhow, the offer I know originally from the last hearing was 50,000, and they were hoping that would then wipe the slate clean. But then the judge was having none of that. So then they reduced it down to 20,000. And so today was the follow-up to that hearing.
I see.
And so here's the information. I'm going to read it verbatim from Jamie earlier that I received before they went to break. So we were waiting in the vestibule. Judges screaming at everyone, demanding that $20,000 in certified funds come from the philanthropists. And even though Carlos's family and friends have already submitted $9,000 in certified funds for Carlos, so this $20,000 needed to be received by 2:30, or the judge is threatening to go ahead with the contempt hearing without. I'm going to interrupt myself here because I just got a text from Carlos. Maybe he's trying to call in. It says he won't take incoming call. Do you see a call coming in? It might be Carlos.
I do not.
Or it might be.
I do not see any calls coming in.
Okay. Maybe, let me make sure. The phone number, is it 408? Let's make sure I wrote it right to him.
Sure.
408-637. Oh, that's my fault. I am, hang on, people. I can't. I'm trying to multitask.
It's right on the screen if you can see it.
I know, but he may not be watching it. So I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to send
Jamie
it to him.
is watching.
Hi,
Jamie.
Okay. Oops. My bad. Okay, sorry, people. I gave him the wrong number. I'm trying to coordinate everything and having my own issues. Okay. So let me back up. I want to continue reading where I was so that I can at least get this part out there. That was my hope of my live feed. And then I need to go. I'm going to need to go.
Okay.
So again, basically the judge was demanding that 20,000 be there by 2:30, or she was going to hold the contempt hearing without his attending psychiatrist present. And also she mentioned the court officer has it out, for Gary. It's a shit show. Next thing you know, so later what I received was, again, this is from Jamie, absolute blatant bias against Carlos. Jamie, are you on the line?
No, that's
Okay.
my new co-host. I haven't named her yet.
Oh, you have a new co-host?
Yeah, it's like a Siri program. Basically, the new co-host is reading the comments as they come in.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, a little distracting. So
Yeah,
I will
haven't
continue
figured
on.
it out completely yet.
Yes,
so.
interesting. Okay, back to where I was here. So absolute blatant bias against Carlos, telling. So the judge was telling him that she does not wish to hear from his treating psychiatrist, that all she hears from him is, I can't, which, by the way, he has never said. She speaks as though Carlos has never fulfilled his obligation to support his children. Fails to recognize the $492,000 given to the mother of Carlos's children from 2009 to 2012 before he was put in jail. Or she put him in jail is what it says that, and also fails to acknowledge that he started working as a pediatrician again 3.5 months after being released from 6 months in jail. And, his ex, Catherine, again, has brought him back to court for contempt to put him back in jail on 3 separate occasions, calling his salary disingenuous, harassing his employer with child support enforcement, stating the 60% of his wages being garnished, just shy of $1,300 biweekly, leaving Carlos with $310 biweekly to live off of, was not enough support. He is continually subjected to emotional and psychological torture by his ex and by the court system who enables this behavior. His treating psychiatrist ordered that he stop practicing medicine immediately as it was unsafe to practice due to his current psychological condition. And this judge mocks him and his treating physician in the courtroom, stating, all I'm hearing from you is, I can't, I can't, I can't. And then Jamie writes, it's absolutely disgusting.
Wow.
Okay. And then at 12:51 my time, which would be 3:51 East Coast time, that she messaged me again and said trial began. It's once again adjourned until June 27th.
I see.
And then I'd like to continue reading this, this long rest of this, and then I'll, you can comment or whatever, but I just want to get this out here. So, I'm hearing an echo. Catherine being the mother of Carlos's children. Okay, I hear echo.
Go ahead. It's Jamie in the background. Just go ahead and finish.
Okay, perfect. Carlos presented her one witness. I can't do it. And now that she's on, well, anyway, child support enforcement. Carlos's attorney needs to call his psychiatrist as a witness, so the judge adjourned it. The judge issued an apology for confiscation for confiscating the pad and paper from the president of one of the organizations that was present. Gary was thrown out of court for using his cell phone in the vestibule while the judge was in her chambers and court was not in session. There was a huge argument. The entire courtroom erupted with court officers and workers saying Gary should be banned because he always causes problems. Because the organization needed a few days to secure certified funds for the $20,000, they agreed to give Carlos's ex, this part I'm not sure, maybe Jamie can clarify this because the wording, I think it was autocorrect. They agreed to give Catherine something to drop the contempt order. The judge immediately ruled to go to trial, did not even ask if Catherine wanted to take the $9,000 in certified funds and wait 1 week to have the organization bring certified funds to her. The judge just stated, we are proceeding with a contempt hearing. And so that is the up-to-date, at this moment, information that I was presented with, or that Jamie messaged to me. And now that Jamie's on the call, that's awesome. So maybe we can hear from her.
Thank you very much, Christy. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm here with Gary and with Carlos is here too, but I'm not sure that he wants to speak right now. But
okay.
Yeah,
sorry, I sent you guys the wrong phone number.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's okay. It happens. A little senior moment, right, Christy?
Yeah. So how's it going?
Exactly true. What happened at the end there with the judge? the Americans for Legal Reform, that's the organization you're speaking about that offered
ACLU?
to procure the $20,000 for
ALR.
Yes, ALR, Americans for Legal Reform. So they said that they could get those funds certified within a week's time, and unfortunately, the judge did not even offer to allow Catherine to state that. Well, I didn't get that far yet. So the judge at that time in the courtroom didn't even entertain that. She just said, you don't have the certified funds here and available. We are proceeding with the contempt hearing. Now, what was failed to be recognized and what Catherine actually herself tried to present to the judge and to the court was that over the past week, about a week ago, ALR, the president of ALR, submitted an email to Catherine and, CC'd it to all the other individuals and the other parties involved in the case, that they could provide her with $50,000 of certified funds with the condition that she drop the arrears, the $600,000 in arrears, and allow Carlos time to get back on his feet and start making child support payments in a reasonable number, a modified reasonable number based on his salary that hopefully he will obtain soon. The other offer was $20,000 in certified funds just to drop the contempt, so no jail time, and that if and not to hold over the jail time over his head and allow him some time to procure employment. And if she hadn't responded by the 12th, they would assume that she, did not agree and did not want to proceed with those agreements, and those funds would not be available. She did not agree to that. She did not respond to that, but then attempted to provide that document to the court, who would not hear it. She did not want to know, the judge did not want to know anything about this email that was presented to Ms. Cartwright. She didn't want to know anything about it. She stated that Carlos was supposed to come up with $50,000 for this hearing. The number was $50,000, and she had expected him to come into court with that. There was a lot of commotion within the courthouse. It was very, very obvious that there was a lot of bias towards Carlos from the very, very beginning. This is the first time that I've been in Judge Joseph's courtroom. I have not. I've been in other courtrooms, with Carlos before. This is the first time I've been able to attend Judge Joseph's courtroom, and the bias there was incredible. It was. I have never seen anything like it. The court officers, the court stenographer, anybody associated with the court there. I've never seen so many court officers in one room, in one hallway.
How were they acting?
Wow.
It
was
absolutely, I've never seen anything like it.
Because I've seen, people, the not the defendants, but like the ex's new boyfriend or girlfriend, depending. I've seen them like screaming in the courthouses, deadbeat and such like that. Were the bailiffs actually that?
Can't hear your sound, Ted.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
We can't hear you, Ted.
Okay, let me turn this up a little bit. So, the prosecutors and the bailiffs and everything were basically biased against Carlos. Were they saying things or uttering things like calling him, demeaning him?
Yeah, there was a lot. There's a lot to that story. What takes place in the New York courtroom, which I've never been present inside the courtroom before. So,
this was your first time, Jamie?
I'm sorry?
Was this actually your first time today?
This was my first time being inside the actual courtroom. I've accompanied him to court before, but in Riverhead Court, which is where his original proceedings took place, you're not allowed to go into the courtroom. But where we are now, it's an open courtroom. There's people that are allowed to just come in and sit and observe. This was my first time actually being able to observe.
Wow.
So you go in there, and there's signs everywhere that says that you cannot, your cell phones. Order something else. So you're not allowed to use your cell phone inside the courtroom while court is in session. You're not allowed to record. Obviously, you're not allowed to do any of that, any such thing. So before court started, before the session began, before the judge came out of her chambers, my cell phone was in my pocket. I came from work. Work texted me. I felt the buzz in my pocket. I looked at it. I immediately turned off the phone and returned the phone to my pocket. And the court officer came, glaring, and directly came over to me and said, "You cannot have that phone in this courtroom."
Yeah.
Wow.
I will tell
It's happened to me a lot.
I will tell you once, and I will not tell you again. That phone cannot be in this courtroom. And I said, "Okay, I apologize." I turned it off. That's what I was doing. I was turning it off. I had no idea. I apologize. So that was the first. That was the first thing that happened. So he returns. The judge comes out. The judge goes back into her chambers after, because there's other people that are there for their cases in the beginning. So these other cases are done. We're waiting for Carlos's attorney to come in, and there's an adjournment now. So now we're just sitting in there. There's only some workers in there. There's a court officer or so in there. Everybody's just milling around. The judge is in her chambers. Gary Jacobs of Long Island Backstory steps out into the vestibule. So it's in between the courtroom and the hallway. There's a vestibule with double doors on each side, and he's the judge is inside her chamber. She's not on the bench. The court is not in session. He's proceeding to use his cell phone. He's not speaking on his cell phone. He is texting on his cell phone inside the vestibule, and the same court officer sprints out into the vestibule and demands that he turn his phone off, how dare you? What makes you think you can use this cell phone inside here? And Gary simply said to him, "I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to use it in here when court is not in session." And he said, "You know the rules. You know that you're not to have that cell phone in here." And he said, "But I saw attorneys using it in here before." And I'll let Gary tell you the rest of this story, because this gets very interesting.
Wow. You're generally allowed to use a cell phone anywhere in the whole courthouse as long as court isn't in session. We've used our phones.
Let me tag along with that, Ted,
well.
and just to interject, because I did have a phone conversation, Jamie, with Ira, and Ira told me that when he was there.
You have Gary on the phone now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. When Ira was there last, with the last court hearing, I guess he may have. I don't think. He had a similar experience with the court with the phone situation, where he was lambasted for even using his phone in a time where you would absolutely think it would be fine.
Right.
So go ahead, Gary.
First of all, the rules change. Well, they make up their own rules, but the rule, as far as I understood it, was your phone cannot disturb anything. That doesn't mean that you can't touch your phone. And this court officer, his name is Cosimo Ali, came out and said you're not allowed to touch your cell phone. I don't know where they get where they get these rules from. Maybe they could say you can't touch yourself, but since where is the rule that you can't touch your cell phone? So what I did was I knew this court officer when I saw him attacking Jamie, and really he did attack her. He was looking like a hawk to find something. So I purposely waited. The judge got off the bench. She said, "We're going to recall the case." Got off the bench. I stepped out into the vestibule, looked at my phone because it had buzzed when I was in there. I have my press pass on, and this man comes out and starts berating me. I said, "Excuse me," and I was nice. I said, "What is the rules?" Because I thought there's no judge on the bench, and you have an attorney. There was an Asian attorney in the courtroom who was using his phone too. And he says, "No, only you can't use it." I said, "What do you mean, only I can't use it?" I said, "You can't make up your own rules." And he said, "Yes, I can. It's my courtroom, and I can make up the rules." And then we went back and forth, and he tried to intimidate me. The man. What are we allowed to say on this show?
You could say no. I mean, we're not being watched. Just.
Clearly, this man has a small penis, and he's trying to prove something. Again, his name is Cosimo Ali. No, but when you joke about the Napoleon, this guy got in my face. Well, really, I should say he got into my belly because he couldn't see my face because he was shorter than me, and he was trying to intimidate. And you know what? I wasn't going to back down because the judge has been on a rampage trying to intimidate Carlos, trying to intimidate Americans for legal reform, trying to intimidate anybody who goes there to observe his case. And I wasn't going to let it happen because I do know the rules of the court. So anyway, he proceeds to tell me he's going to throw me out of the court. Then he says, I said, "What's your name?" Because he covered up his badge. I said, "What's your name and badge number?" "Officer." "Officer what?" "I'm not giving it to you. Just call me officer." I said, "Well, I need it because I'm going to file a notice of claim against you for violating my civil rights. Can you give me a name?" Now, he still wouldn't give it to me, but his boss was next to him. He's wearing a white shirt, so I don't know if they call them the captain. He's the captain, Carlos, or the chief. And he's telling the guy to stop and go in the courtroom because the guy's clearly lost his shit. And he's telling him, go in the courtroom, go. And the guy wouldn't back down. He goes, I'm going to arrest you. I said, you don't have the balls to arrest me. I dare you to do it. Go ahead and do it. He had no ground. I said, I don't know what you're going to arrest me for. He goes, for threatening me. Because when I said that, I wanted his name so I could sue him. So he didn't do it. But
that bailiff should be fired.
So now they banned me from the courtroom, and I'm sitting out in the hall. And I showed the guy. I said, by the way, I am a member of the press. The court is open. He goes, I don't give a damn about that. That means nothing to me. I'm sick of you guys doing these stories. So he was clearly had an issue with Carlos. Has said all along that he thinks that this is retaliation for us doing these stories. I absolutely believe this guy slipped and let us know that it clearly was. It's not up to him to determine whether he likes my press pass. He picked it up. He said, this is cute. It's fake. You know, clearly it's not fake because we have our show on TV. So, but then we get out in the hallway after the lunch break, and this is the most unbelievable thing. There's 9 of us in the hallway. This court officer comes barreling down the hallway, crosses his arms, and body checks me.
Oh my God!
Right in front of everybody, body checks me. So I said, you know what? After this, I'm tired of the abuse. They're going after us. I called the police. I said, I want him arrested for assaulting me. You know, if that was me touching him, my ass would be in jail. He was looking to arrest me.
He was baiting you.
The police said, oh, we don't have jurisdiction. They said, we don't have jurisdiction over the court officers. You have to call the court officers. I called the court officers. They basically blew me off. Then I called the chief judge. I called the FBI. I called the attorney general's office. I'm not going to drop it. This man assaulted me. We had witnesses. They finally did come. And the guy says, all right, I'm here. They sent me down to get the information. I said, I want a report that I can bring to the police. He's writing it on a notepad. Well, obviously, that's not a report. That's something that's something that's going to disappear. And if there's any question to your listeners, whether this was harassment, what they did to Jamie and what they did to me, Carl Lanzazera, the founder of Americans for Legal Reform, was doing what we always advise people to do, which is when you court watch, take notes. Because in the heat of the moment, you forget what went on in the courtroom. So he's writing notes in the courtroom. This is unbelievable. The court officer walks up to him and takes his notepad. Takes it. What? And then went up to the judge, and the judge said it was okay to take his notepad. They basically took an illegal search and seizure. Now, I had notes on there that Carlos and I had confidential information regarding Carl, the president. We had confidential information regarding our settlement, how high we would go, what we would do. Now the judge has seen this, who's negotiating on Carlos's ex-wife's part.
That's
I mean, this is unbelievable. After the break, the judge comes onto the bench. Now, mind you, I'm not there because I'm in the hallway, and so I'm hearing this. I guess you could say this is hearsay from everybody who was in the courtroom. And so the judge came out and said, "Oh, I apologize. I was wrong by taking your notepad." Well, and he gave it back. It's too late. The damage has been done.
Yeah.
You don't get to make a mistake, you don't get to violate somebody's rights, and then say, "Oh, I made a mistake. I'm giving it back."
And to not only become kind of and to become kind of privy in that kind of a proceeding, you know, to come privy to what your thoughts were, and that would determine potentially. I feel like that the judge should be recused of this.
You're not innocent just because you apologize.
Now I'm going to send a letter, but she should recuse herself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
How come we have discussions when there may have been? I actually don't remember what was on the tab.
The level of intimidation is outrageous.
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is, Christy. It's intimidation.
I know, right?
And you can't but really, you can't. My issue is, you can't take the stuff, look at it, and say, "Okay, guys, I'm sorry."
No, you can't do that. That's like lying.
Wow.
I think one of the people, Randy Bazzogi, was in court, and he said, "What? You can't shoot somebody and say, 'Oh yeah, I made a mistake.'"
Right.
You can't do that.
The damage is done.
They need to be
Carl's held accountable.
And you know what? By her apologizing, she's actually admitting it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's interesting and good.
Done, so she should. So we're going to follow up. I cannot wait. I've already consulted with several attorneys, believe it or not, because I don't waste any time, about filing a lawsuit against them in federal court for violating mine, Carlos's. We're really mine and Carl Lanzazera's civil rights.
Right.
They violated freedom of the press by keeping me out of the courtroom. They violated the attorney-client privilege of Carlos by taking the notepad that may have had notes. They violated so many rules, and they clearly harassed me and assaulted me.
Yep.
Wow.
It's funny. We have cameras in almost every hallway in this courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidentally, there is no camera in this hall. Well, allegedly, I should say, but we don't think there was. cameras in this hallway. Obviously, the court
or
officer.
if there was, it wouldn't miraculously have not been functioning properly or something.
Well, as soon as it happened, I called the chief judge and I said I'd like to have the cameras frozen so that they don't disappear. Well, except for the other court officer came out and said there are no cameras. But I mean, how do you not have cameras in a courtroom, in a hallway of a courthouse? You don't have the camera. They're all over the parking lot, the lobby. You don't have a camera in the freaking hallway?
Exactly. And from my understanding, and speaking with Mike Gilligan, who was there, I don't know if you guys ran into him or not, but he did go to the courthouse. Yep. He just didn't want to go inside. And he was sharing with me how much actual animosity and fighting and, kind of maybe a high crime rate right there just in the parking lot because of the heated conflict that happens.
Absolutely. I mean, this kind of
put Jamie back on the phone, but anybody who's listening to the show, if you have any information on Judge Cheryl Joseph or this court officer, Cosimo Ali, please private message us because it'll be part of the lawsuit.
We'll all start looking into it.
You can send that to Long Island. You can send it to longislandbackstory@gmail.com, or you can go to my Facebook page, Gary Jacobs, and send me a private message.
Thank you, Gary.
So I'm going to put Jamie on because I wasn't in the courtroom, so I don't want to give hearsay. I'm going to let it come straight out of the horse's mouth. I don't want to be accused of that.
Thank you for coming on and joining us and sharing what happened to you.
Yeah, that was Gary of the Long Island Backstory. Hi, Jamie. Yeah, it's interesting. How many laws were broken while you guys were there? At least 3.
I don't think I could count them.
At least 3, just from what I could tell. And that case went from it started at 11 until just a few hours ago. And what happens is the family court breaks the law every 5 to 10 seconds, every 8 seconds, roughly.
I believe it.
And so we could
what
tell.
What I find most disheartening about this whole entire scenario, or what took place today, is that family court is supposed to be, quote unquote, in the best interest of the children. Now, if the and
putting somebody out of business and into poverty, that helps.
Well, I was just reminded that before Carlos's court case came, in front of the court today, I heard Judge Joseph repeatedly tell petitioners that were there for their judgment of divorce, that were there to start their cases, that, no matter what, you are still family. No matter what, you still love your children, and you need to provide for your children, and you need to provide a loving environment for your children. No matter what, you're still family. And I heard this woman speak these words, and that's the same exact thing that I tried to say to tell my children and to convey to my ex-husband when we went through our divorce and separation, and what to this day continues to reign true in our relationship, that we are still family, that we still provide for our children, and our children come first. But what is so hard to believe is when you listen to this court case proceed against Carlos Rivera, there is no way that any of this is in the best interest of his children. You had $29,000 available on the table, $9,000 of which was available today, $20,000 of which would be available within days. It was secured. It was going to be certified funds available for use for those children, and you decline it so that you can go ahead with a contempt order to put the father in jail. How is that in any way in the best interest of those children? How is it in the best interest of them to have their father behind bars for another 6 months? Because keep in mind, in 2013, from March until November, he was in Riverhead Jail for 6 months.
Right. If the family court did not exist and there was an actual contract, an actual marriage contract or a parent's contract to safeguard them. Check. Sorry, my mic is on its last legs. But if there was an actual contract that said 50-50 of the children automatically, and it already had worked out how things are split up in the marriage, similar to a prenup, then there would be no family court. If the family court wasn't there, they wouldn't have put Carlos out of business and put him into poverty in the first place, and he'd be able to take care of his kids.
Agreed.
This system should compensate Carlos for the millions of dollars he lost because they lost his practice. They are responsible for him being destitute.
So Jamie, what else went down from your perspective in the court? Sorry to interject, Ted.
No,
I'm
that's
used
okay.
to it.
So in the end, when we came back from the 2:30 meeting, and there was his attorney did present to them that no, the payment was not made because the certified funds for the $20,000 could not be procured for a couple of days because it was going to be brought to the court today, but Catherine did not respond to the offer. So they assumed, and because of the way the letter was written to her, and she was supposed to respond by Friday, they did not feel that she was accepting the offer. She did not respond to the offer, and so the certified funds were not brought to the courtroom. So it would it was very, very clear in the email, clearly written in the email, that if she did not respond by Friday the 12th, that the funds would not be inside the courtroom. So when his attorney presented after the adjournment and at the 2:30 section of the hearing, that those funds would be available in a few days, no more than a week, and that the $9,000 that his family and friends did pool together to give to his children were available, the judge immediately said, then we are going ahead with the contempt hearing. She didn't even give Catherine Cartwright the ability to say, I want to go ahead with that deal. I want to go ahead and want to take the money. I want to go ahead with that. She didn't even give her the option. Do I think that his ex would have taken it? I'm not sure.
She just completely threw
option
due
was not
process
even
out the window.
That's ridiculous. That's incredible. That's ridiculous.
So we're up to 5 laws broken so far.
And during this time, when his attorney was explaining the conditions upon which ALR would procure and give the $50,000, that the arrears of $600,000 be dropped and that the child support be modified to a reasonable amount, the judge immediately screamed at his attorney that she had already spoken to him about this. She had already informed him that that was illegal, that in New York State you cannot simply drop arrears. That is against the law in New York State, which is not true. Anybody that brings
you want to talk about the things that are actually against the law? Okay, anyway, go ahead.
How about extortion?
Exactly.
That's exactly what took place today. Inside that courtroom was it was extortion to the utmost degree. I've never seen anything like it. And
isn't debtor's prison illegal at this point too?
His children.
Right.
What's
absolutely. That? I said and debtor's prison, right?
It was outlawed almost 200 years ago.
Absolutely. Why is bail even on the table? Why? Why are we considering putting a well-established, wonderful pediatrician in jail with rapists, gang members, drug dealers? That's who he was with for 6 months in 2013.
Yeah,
I was there. I saw it.
1 out of 100 of us are incarcerated. 1 out of 600 of us are incarcerated for owing the government money, bringing back the debtors' prisons that were abolished 200 years ago. That this is the biggest civil rights disaster in American in human history, with our government being able to do whatever they want, break the law every 8 seconds. We were talking about this yesterday with Native Americans in the boarding schools. We've been watching the government take children away for a couple hundred years now. And now they're finally taking everybody's rights away, not just Native Americans, everybody. And so we didn't speak up then. Now we have to speak up for ourselves and every other nationality in our country, because it's gotten completely corrupt. Family court should not exist. It's completely separate from the Bill of Rights and Constitution. It's illegal. Family court is illegal.
Absolutely agreed. I could not agree more.
So Jamie, where do things go from here?
So they proceeded with the contempt hearing. His ex is pro se, so she called her first witness, which was from Child Support Enforcement. That was her only witness. His attorney did get a chance to cross-examine. That went fairly well. And the judge did recognize that Carlos's only witness, the only witness that his attorney would be calling, which is his acting psychiatrist, acting physician,
Was it in
his acting
attendance?
physician at the time was not able to be in court today. He was in Egypt. He's in Egypt right now for some time. And the last 3 times that he's had this physician that she's had this physician inside the courtroom, he's been denied the opportunity to testify. He testified once briefly. He sat outside of the courthouse for hours, had to close his practice for 3 separate days on 3 separate occasions, and was not afforded the opportunity to testify on his patient's behalf.
Yeah, it shows that it's not an actual court of law.
When the judge was speaking to his attorney, she demanded to know what would she, because his physician did testify one time very briefly, about 3 months ago, and she wanted to know what testimony he would be bringing to the table that would be different than before, and so the attorney was trying to argue that he can't say for sure what the physician would testify under oath, but that the testimony has changed, and that Carlos is entitled to the testimony of his acting physician because it is relevant to his case. So when we came back from the adjournment and Catherine met with and was able to examine her witness, the judge did decide to adjourn it until a later date so that Carlos's physician could be present to testify. So that was a win, because it seemed as though she wasn't going to allow him to testify again. And at this time, he's adjourned to June 27th. He'll be back in the courtroom at 11 a.m. at Central Islip, and his attorney will be presenting his acting physician for testimony at that time. But I'd like to say that the way his ex is presenting the case and the way it appears that the judge is understanding it is that Carlos has never fulfilled any portion of his obligation to support his children, which I have to go on record as saying that is absolutely false. Carlos has given over $492,000, and I know because I did the calculations myself, in support, in child support, in maintenance, in payments, in gifts given to his ex-wife and his children from January of 2009 until December of 2012. I did not include in that the January, February, and March of 2013, just before he went to jail. $492,000 in 4 years was given in support.
Yeah, that's
once he was let go out of jail. Once he was released from jail in November of 2013, he immediately started seeking employment. I was able to procure another physician to really take over his practice, and I was able to convince her to hire Carlos to reestablish the practice that he had been running for the past 3 years. So in March of 2014, when they were finally able to procure a malpractice insurance policy for Carlos, which was an insane amount of money, it was over $60,000 for just part-time employment, which was, quadruple the amount that he was paying before. He began working for Patrov Pediatrics in March of 2014, and they immediately started making payments of 60% of his salary was sent directly to child support enforcement. And that continued until May of 2016, when he was forced into early retirement because Catherine again brought him back into court, and his employer said, I can't do this anymore. I can't be being harassed by child support enforcement to procure my records. You are not fulfilling your duties here because you're too preoccupied with court, and you're not yourself. This is no longer the place for you because you can no longer practice.
I had a similar experience.
And his physician told him exactly that. You cannot practice medicine right now. You cannot be doing this. It is not safe.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing that they do and should be illegal, is as a contractor as well, or a subcontractor, they can try to go after, even though you're not technically employed by these people, they can try and go after the contractors you work for.
I would have paid.
And that that creates a huge problem with that working relationship.
And you know what this what this judge is saying, speaking in the courtroom on record directly to Carlos, is I don't care.
Right.
I don't care what your physician is going to report. All I'm hearing from you is I can't. She has no regard for an expert witness's opinion, an expert psychiatrist,
right,
a treating physician who has stated that he should not be practicing medicine. This judge has just thrown it out and said, all I hear from you is I can't. You need to be working. You need to be working at your potential.
I can't because the family court.
$190,000.
Because the family court put him out of business. That's why he can't.
Exactly.
And she doesn't want to hear it because she doesn't want to be held accountable for it.
Not to mention the emotional and psychological torture that they've inflicted upon him.
Ongoing traumatic stress disorder.
They've enabled this woman to just all family court has become is malicious, vindictive behavior, and the courts enable it. The courts encourage it.
The family fraud and abuse system. It takes an abusive relationship and enables or incentivizes even an ex-spouse to continue their abuse in the court. It's set up to be abusive. It's set up to create a non-custodial parent, to not a parent that will support the children, but a parent who will provide the extortion called child support because they get incentive money matched. In the average is $1.66 to every dollar paid, and that $1.66 comes from all of our Social Security money. It goes into the billions every year. And so if you get a judge in those courts who is more equal and fair and wants to see the family worked out and gives 50-50 custody, you know what happens to that judge? He gets out of there, because that means that their revenue goes down. They go into the red. They need that revenue to go up every year. They need more and more and more non-custodial parents to be paying, so they create more and more non-custodial parents. If it was 50-50 custody, the way it should be, it would not exist. Family court would not have the money to exist. It shouldn't exist.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. You know, what has happened to Dr. Carlos has been absolutely just egregious. It's ridiculous. And his example, the example that we're being shown, all of us, it's so blatant.
It will have a rippling effect throughout his children's lives.
Yeah, if nothing else, hopefully, it may be that it's his case that helps to get people, wake some other people up who don't understand.
Financially, he is ruined.
Quite honestly, I think that's the only thing that keeps him going.
Right.
I understand that. That makes sense.
What are his kids going to do for college? All this money, the courts put him out of business. So what are they going to do?
It's been great joining you guys. I got to get back into work.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, and continue on, carry on. Thanks for having me.
All right.
And give my best to Carlos, please, Jamie, and thanks for having you and for you and Gary coming on.
Thank you, Christy. It was great to speak with you.
Absolutely. Much love.
Thank you for
Talk to you soon. Yeah, anytime.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Yeah. So not only is the financial part of the relationship gone, it's going to cause a negative reaction for years to come because of the family courts. What about his relationship with the kids? It's created turmoil.
He tried to. His attorney tried to bring that up, and actually Carlos tried to bring that up. And she said, that's
she's
not
like,
what we're discussing today.
Yeah. I don't care about your kids. I want my fucking money.
Yep.
That's what she cares about.
That's exactly what. Yep.
I got to show that I belong in this seat by creating more and more non-custodial parents, so I bring in more and more incentive money. That's all that judge cares about, and she needs to rot in jail. My opinion.
I agree.
Every judge like that needs to be put in jail. They need to be held accountable and compensate the American people for the destruction they have caused.
I agree. Thank you, Ted. Thank you very much for having us on the show today. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on. Are you guys eating right now?
We're just finishing up.
All right.
Apparently, this is the place to go to after court.
Good. Well,
I didn't know. I've never been here.
So Carlos isn't in jail right now. We know that.
He is not. He is not. He is adjourned until June 27th.
Okay. Well, that's good. That'll give us a little bit more
yes,
time.
It's good news for all of us.
Yes. I'm glad to hear it. Well, give him a hug for me and Christy, and have a good rest of your day.
I will, Ted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. Thank you again.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, Jamie. So the number is on the screen. We have a few more minutes if anybody would like to call in and talk about this. It really gets me going, as you can tell. That's why I have this show. That's why I'm promoting the Million Parent March, is until we all come together, every man, woman, and child of every race, religion, sex, political affiliation, this will not stop. An illegal court system that breaks the law every 8 seconds, designed to tear apart relationships between children and their parents. It needs to end. It needs to end now. It needs to end 20 years ago when Hillary Clinton put in the incentives to begin with. Before the incentives, it was unconstitutional and they are breaking the laws. This incentive process, you'd think our politicians would have a little bit more sense to think about the problems that incentives create. If you create an incentive and a reward to collect child support enforcement, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, of course you're going to get more child support, but you're also going to incentivize people to create non-custodial parents to get more child support, whether it's needed or not. Most of these families, even my situation, as violent and horrible as my marriage was, when we were separated, the bad stopped. And I was able to help support my son and see my son almost every weekend. During the week, if I wanted to. I was a half an hour away. I focused a lot on work because that's what I did. I focused on supporting my family. As soon as the courts got involved, boom, she went with it. I mean, my ex-wife was like, oh, well, this is the way the law is. We'll take all your money. You never get to see your son. And I can't believe I made it 2 years. 2 years, I was out of business and facing homelessness. And if the courts just never got involved in the first place, everybody would have been better off. I mean, I'll never recover from 2 years out of work. Never will. All the money, the $20,000 that I spent in court, which is very, very low compared to most people, that doesn't go to my son. That went to the lawyers and the courts and the judges. Who benefits? Who benefits? And when you take into consideration the lawyers, the attorneys' fees for all of this, we're in the trillions of dollars a year. And it's a money-making institution that shouldn't be there. It's destroying America. It's destroying the American family. It has destroyed it. And we cannot afford 20 more years of this. 20 more years of this same thing. Can you imagine? Not just 23 million children growing up without a biological parent. 1 billion? And not 100 American citizens in jail or 1 out of 100, 1 out of 10? Are we going to smarten up when we're no longer the United States of America? So, it has to end. We all have to be in D.C. and there's certain ways we can help. There's a flyer coming out at the end of the month that will have all the basic information about the march, about the entire weekend, before, during, and after. And we want to help people get there. If you write in the comments your state and that you're driving there, we can hook you up with riders that don't have a car and want to go there. We can get those people connected and help you with gas. And if you're a rider, if you don't have a car, and you need to go, put in the comments your state and that you're a rider. And that's one of a few ways we're trying to get people hooked up and getting to D.C. in September. So I think that'll wrap it up. At least Carlos is not in jail. If you don't know Carlos, he's Dr. Carlos Rivera. He was a pediatric practitioner, a general pediatric practitioner, and he did fine until the divorce. And it costs a lot of money to have insurance as a doctor. When the court system makes you pay for attorneys, the alimony, the child support, you never see your kids, that doesn't just take a toll on you financially, but emotionally as well. It's called legal abuse syndrome. It's where the courts alienate you from your children. Court-assisted pathological parenting or court-assisted parental alienation. And they need to be held accountable for these atrocities. And I, for one, won't stop until I see that end. Even when we end family court, we need to continue on to make sure everybody is held accountable. So please join me tomorrow for Wheel of Judiciary. And if you'd like to play, we have a ton of worthless prizes for you. Or maybe not even a ton. We have one or two. It'll be a lot of fun. And not sure what's in store for the rest of the week. Maybe we could get Carlos on when things calm down and tell us a little bit more about the case and his feelings. I'll talk to him personally and see if he'll come on and give you guys an update. So, love to you all. Have a wonderful time.
States are profiting off the destruction of our family. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Who do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our family.
And we're going to take our country back from these people.
States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will take back our constitutional God-given rights. States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Who do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our family.
And we're going to take our country back from these people.
States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Who do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our family. We will hold them accountable. Damn right, we're coming for our children.
Now arrives the hour of action.
States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Who do we want? Who do we want? States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Who do we want? Who do we want? States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Justice! Now! States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Justice! Now! States are profiting off the destruction of our family. Justice! Now! You're damn right, we're coming for our children. States are profiting off the destruction of our families.
That's right.
You want to take me as a parent and reduce me down to a visitor to my children so that you can send money via the Social Security Act through Title 4D to the states so that those morons can balance their already imbalanced budgets. We will take back our constitutional God-given rights. We will hold them accountable. You damn right, we're coming for our children.